the Webster Public Library. And Adam, take it away.
Will do. Thanks, Patty. Good evening, everyone. Just as a quick preamble, Patty had asked me to do a little explanation of how the Webster Public Library is a little bit different from most of the other departments in the town. We have a appointed library board, appointed by this board, which acts as the fiduciary agent as part of the library. As preparation for this meeting, I had to take a draft budget to them for their line item approval in April of this year to prepare it to be ready to bring to the town board, obviously. So we're supported primarily through the tax dollars from Webster, but we also have two separate 501c3s that support us, the Friends of the Webster Public Library, which, if you're familiar with our library, we have a bookstore that they run just inside the library. So far this year, they've been able to raise $40,000 for us, which is a big win. We're eternally grateful for their energy and efforts. And then the foundation, which manages a small endowment of about $500,000 as of the large donation that we received last year. And that interest gets spun off to fund special projects that might not otherwise be funded through our operational budget.
Thank you.
Of course.
Thank you. Yes, I wanted you to add some color to that because, as you said, your department is different. And I think a lot of people don't understand all of that. So I appreciate you refreshing people's memories.
My pleasure. And I could go on and on about library for probably
I'm
longer
sure
than anyone wants to be
sure
here.
That's why you're so great.
Into the budget. First three line items are all salary dollars. The biggest change you'll see here is under salary personnel. There's two changes here. What you'll notice is that, I'm just going to go down to the hourly for a second. You'll notice a decrease despite the library, much like Parks and Rec, being highly affected by the increase in minimum wage. So even though we have a minimum wage increase, which amounts to about a 3.3% increase, which I extended to all library personnel in the hourly category, I took two, prior to me joining Webster Public Library, there was a full-time position that was then split into two. We tried that for 2 years, and the ability for us to cover the service desks, as well as the flexibility that we need for someone who does off-hour and weekend work, has not been conducive to the part-time position. So I took two part-time positions that had been previously carved out from a full-time position and moved that into the salary personnel. So that is one of the salary personnel changes that makes up for that rather large increase. The other is a new full-time librarian. So as it stands, we have two full-time librarians that serve the Children and Youth Services Department, and we have one full-time librarian that is part of the Adult Services Department, and the rest is made up from part-time staff. I posit that our primary demographic is people who have a lot of free time, so that can be caregivers, retirees, etc., as well as young families. And that gap in service is really something I'm trying to address. Our programs is something we're known for at Webster. In fact, we've had double-digit increases in our foot traffic year over year since I've been a part of the library, and I'd like to continue that good work because we do have a very loyal audience. So that amounts for the increases in the salary personnel. And then the other increases there are COLA. We've adopted the 2% COLA of the town. And then there are three people in the salary personnel, as well as myself, who are still receiving steps. And as a reminder, the library's precedent here is that steps are only a 1% increase, unlike the town steps. So, it helps keep our overall figure down, although it may also hurt our retention. Moving along, the equipment purchases went up about $1,000. We've been using that to update our lighting. Our next capital equipment purchase that we will probably try to address is our security camera system. That those prices continue to go up, and so we're trying to outfit that in a way that we can more effectively use our security system. Our automation capital, this is what the line we use to purchase computers. As you've heard all the other department heads say in the past 2 meetings, costs for computers are going up. That particular line has been flat for almost 10 years at $10,000. I'd like to increase that to $15,000 to help get better machines as well as take care of our aging technology that's equipped with our rooms. So think projectors, think TV monitors that go into our study rooms, that kind of thing. Excuse me. Moving down, we've got a handful of flat line items. So the membership and notices, this is our membership to the New York Library Association. This did go up 33%. That's just something that we've got to stay plugged into. I think that you'll find in a slight update I've got at the revenue side that it's worth the money, but that did go up significantly. As a reminder, or for those of you who are newer to our budget, Paul and I did separate out our building rent expense, which is our contractual rent in our lease, which is a fixed cost along with escalations. I think we have 1 or 2 left before the end of the lease in 2032. So that's the 4329 line, building rent expense. And then we did separate out the building common area charges and taxes. That's a variable expense. So that really goes back to how much tax the landlord is paying proportional to our square footage, as well as any improvements they do to the shared property. And we take a best guess at that. It really depends on needs repair and that kind of thing.
And of course, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but this is one of the downsides, and we've talked about this at length, of us being a tenant in that plaza. It's not ideal. I was not here when that decision was made. The library actually used to be in this building many, many years ago. I'm sure at the time it made sense, but as the years have gone on, it's really a tremendous part of your budget that it would be nice to be relieved from. So I know as we look towards the end of that lease, it's something that you're trying to plan for the future.
Absolutely.
And I think that we all recognize that.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a significant increase. I think about $90,000 of that is taxes that we wouldn't otherwise be paying. And I just want to say, I think I said that at previous budget meetings, but Councilman Cahill, I'm really indebted to the work that you did prior to me coming on in terms of investigating that lease, because it helped me not reinvent the wheel, but also try and give me some focus on how to prepare for the future. Moving along, we do have, so I think I've made it pretty plain. I'm trying to get our library materials. This is line 530. Library materials, these are the books and the movies and et cetera that we loan out. I'm trying to get us up to comparison with our peer libraries. Those are the other large suburban libraries in Monroe County. They're all spending about $200,000. We were at $100,000 when I started. This is again another downside to having the lease, is that our building expenditures are significantly higher than our peer libraries. But I am trying to rebuild that, and that will help us increase our circulation. So I've been kind of slowly plodding along with a $10,000 increase each year. Next one is natural gas. That's the other big change. RG&E and the Public Utility Commission, Public Service Commission approved the RG&E rate hikes that we're all dealing with at home. We're dealing with that ourselves. So you'll see an increase in natural gas. And we always hope to come in under that. We did, through a foundation project, install new thermostats and new sensors that try to get a better handle on this big warehouse space. As many of you probably heard me say, like, this is where I did my shopping when I was a kid in school. It's an old Ames building. It wasn't built to hang out and read a book and take a class. So hopefully we can come in under that. The next line you'll notice, I'm estimating that our electric will be down significantly because of all the LED upgrades we've done. That's thanks to the foundation as well as Assemblyman Mantelo. We're down 25% year over year so far this year. and we just finished the final phase of that project in July. We've replaced 634 lights in the library, all over to LED. And this last phase was the second largest, so we should be seeing a significant rebate from RG&E as well as a decrease in energy usage. Obviously, that's competing with RG&E's rate hikes, but we're down pretty significantly so far. So I'm hopeful that we will come in quite under.
Was that a grant that Assemblyman Langfellow secured for you?
Yes, that's right. Yeah, that's a grants and aid. And I'm happy to say that Assemblyman Langfellow and Senator Brooke have committed another $30,000 to us this year.
Wonderful, thank you.
Yeah. Moving on, we're going to employee benefits. Paul, do you want to take a step?
Yes, I have employee benefits up about $24,000 year to year, which is about 7.4%. So once again, it's based on history and the trends that we see in the future. And the number of employees, of course.
So moving down to the revenue side, I think I mentioned before, shortly after I started, we changed over our vendor for printing, and we're getting an actual accounting of how much revenue we're bringing in, which we were not receiving before. I'm pleased to say that I think we'll actually exceed this $9,500 in revenue, but again, I want to be conservative and not shoot for the moon and fall down there. Also, our library card replacement fees, that's been adjusted. It looks significantly up. It's actually adjusted to actuals of what we're seeing this year. Billings for replacement and lost books, again, that's just an adjustment to actuals. Interest and earnings, thanks again for Paul for your help on this. We saw a significant increase in our interest, both because of the rates and because of the strategy we're using to try and prepare for the end of the lease. So our fund balance is up significantly, and so we're realizing some additional interest there for revenue. Unclassified revenue is, we're estimating at $600. It may go up, but because we're adding a new amenity to the library's budget, but it will flatten out. It will be a cost neutral thing. So I expect that our unclassified revenue will actually be higher, but it will end up being cost neutral. And then the only other thing, back to my comments about the NILA increase of $250. Some of you may know I am the chair of the New York State Library Association's Legislative Committee, and we had a really good year this year. And so our state aid is actually not going to be the $12,500 that you see printed, but $13,988 this year. So we got a win there.
I'm sorry, 13,000.
988.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So that's up about 14.8%. And that would, just so you don't need to all do the math yourselves, that would bring the inter-fund transfer revenue, that 2.544 million number, to 2.543. So it's down about $1,500. Any questions?
Could you just reiterate your $106,312 increase in personnel for employees?
On the salary line?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
You added one librarian and then one salary person you bumped up?
Yep, that's right.
And did you attribute that, part of that, to an increase in attendance?
So, partially, yes.
Okay.
So we have an increase in attendance, and also I took, there were 2 part-time positions in the part-time line that I combined into a full-time position. So that's also, part of it's being moved from the hourly to the salary line as well. And then there is one FTE increase.
Right.
Yep.
So how do you track your attendance at the library?
We have a door counter. So we've got like an IR camera, and it can count, it actually can count what it thinks is an adult or a child even.
Right.
And so we track traffic in and traffic out. Yeah, and so we've had, like I said, I think it averaged 13.2% over the last year.
That's great.
In July, we almost hit 20,000, which is a little shy of 2019 numbers, so pre-COVID numbers.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with the kids running back and forth like this, right?
I mean, they did that in 2019 too, so. They love that door opener, let me tell you that much.
All right, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. I have no questions.
Very nice, thank you.
I don't have any questions. We spent time in the library together and as a new board member and took me through a lot of this. Much of it is familiar. It'll be nice when we can have our own library and not have to rent the space for sure.
Yes, especially you do have a lot of, events and stuff like that too for the kids. My granddaughter just loved the library, so.
Oh, we love her there too.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks, Anna.